if any of y'all are watching college football last week, there was only one game that a lot of you were focused on. We were to Georgia versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Alex, I mean, look, we expected a great game, and at the end of at halftime, it was like, did we get cheated? But no, the second half definitely was played. Bama pulls the W 41-34. But I mean, talk to me about this, man. Back and forth in second half, amazing. Like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I missed the first, like, basically the first quarter of this game, but I was like, oh, let me check the score real quick. Just realized what time it was. I was like, oh, this game's on. And I saw Bama up like 14-0, 21-0, whatever it was there, and I was like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And it was insane. Like, at the start, Alabama was just having their way with Georgia, doing whatever they wanted. Milroe looked amazing. The defense looked amazing. They were able to stop the run, which Georgia likes to do a lot. They've gotten real good at it, being up plenty for the last 3 years on plenty of teams. Everybody except Bama. It was insane to see everything going their way. The turnover battle, the scoring, the rushing, the passing, like everything was heavy Alabama. And then halftime comes, and this is why Kirby Smart's one of the best coaches of this era, is they went in, they made the adjustments. I would love to hear what that halftime speech was, because he was throwing stuff, yelling, I guarantee it. And they came out like it was the last game they'd get to play. Like that performance by Georgia in the second half was wild. And just that sequence in the last like 5 minutes where it was like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. I was just like, oh my God. Like that felt like a playoff game, like a national championship type game.
It did. Absolutely.
Amazing game. Probably the best game we'll see this year, realistically, as far as just the whole ebbs and flows of college football within a game. Amazing watch. This is one where if you're trying to introduce somebody to college football, you show them this game, because my God, what a game.
Absolutely. The atmosphere was ripe. I mean, everybody was in it. You had Georgia, you had Bama, you had the history, you know what I mean, between these two. And for those of you that don't know, I think it was Georgia was 42-0 against every other team over the last 2 or 3 years in college football. And then they're 0-3 against Alabama in the regular season, because they got the one win over Bama in the national championship in 2021, I believe. So, Bama was definitely there. They were definitely that monkey. They couldn't get off their back. But look, when you look at this game, and to your point, Bama jumps out to this huge lead. It's 21-0 at the half. They go in, it's 30-7. And for those people that are, that have been tortured by Georgia all of these years, I know there's a bunch of people that were hooting and hollering, oh my God, look at this. But even at that point, you're like, Georgia's not this bad. You know what I mean? And shout out to Alabama's game plan and how they were able to get them, because what have we said all year? If you're going to get to Georgia, you have to be able to run the ball on them. They were able to do that. They limited the run game. They, Carson Beck in the first half was just staring receivers down.
He was awful in the first half.
He was terrible. He really was. And I mean, me and you were having conversations. I know our other Georgia fans were. Heisman was getting thrown around this and left and right. And people are saying, is this your Heisman type deal? But to your point, Kirby said something in that locker room. And I would love to know, just like you, what he said, because this is not familiar. It's one thing if you've been down before multiple times. Georgia hasn't really been down over the last several years, especially not this bad. So what do you say to a team that's been used to winning, and they finally, they have to come up against their rival? Whatever he said, they totally turned it around. And to your point, in the second half, we'll talk about this later. In the first half, you go into halftime and everybody's saying, where's the Heisman Trophy? hand it to Milrow. Give it to this guy. He plays butt off. But then you see the comeback. And I mean, Georgia comes back, and it would have been, I think, their biggest comeback of all time was 28 points, and it would have been a 35
would have been the biggest comeback in a top 10 matchup.
Yeah,
ever.
So talk about that. I mean, you come all the way back, and some of us that might be a little feel some way about some Georgia fans and some Georgia we're a little chirpy. I will admit I had some words, but I told you, I said, this is it. This is why I don't say anything, because the comeback happened. But I mean, take a look at that. We know about, sometimes a team can, we're up big so we can coast, but still you got to play. Georgia balled out, and Bama seemingly maybe mailed it in, man. What do you thought?
I don't really think it was as much Bama mailing it in as Georgia kind of just figuring them out.
Yeah.
I think it was less of what Bama was doing and more of what Georgia did at the half, because it seemed like Bama coming in knowing Georgia's weaknesses, the outside run, you can kill them all day out there, you can gash them. Milrow's speed, obviously. And they connected on a few deep pass plays. And then I think at the half, you started to see Georgia took that 15 minutes to really be like, okay, what is Alabama's weakness? And it's that secondary and that deep pass game. And you just had to unload. Carson Beck had to take some more shots. And I think it was something I heard on yesterday, I think it was like 15-ish attempts of 20 or more yards by Carson Beck on Saturday. Yeah. I think it was like 12 of them came in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
So you really started to see them unload, air it out, and then they started to take advantage of that Alabama secondary and started to claw their way back in.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say about that second half is it's really great to see on both sides. Georgia, you got punched in the mouth early, and they didn't turn on each other. They just stuck it out, said, we're not out of this yet, and climbed all the way back in. And it's funny with the group chat, it was like, are we going to see some emotion out of Carson Beck? I loved that he didn't show emotion until they were like right back in it.
Yes.
I love that the quarterback's that cool, calm composure, and the rest of the guys rallied around that and they climbed back in. And for Alabama, it was great to see that when Georgia started punching them in the mouth and climbing all the way back, that they didn't turn on each other. They just said, okay, we still got the lead. We still got this. Let's go finish this off. And Milrow as well, that composure, that calmness, that he didn't look flustered at all in this game.
No. Yeah.
Under those lights, that stage, he was cool as a cucumber. It was awesome to watch both these teams and that mental dynamic.
Oh, yeah. You talk about the bright lights, man. And we, like I alluded to earlier, you can pick these two quarterbacks out. You wanted to see how they would perform on the big stage. Well, there you had it. I mean, Jalen Milrow, obviously over 300 passing, almost 400, and over 100 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. You got Beck balling out in his own right, over 400 yards passing. Unfortunately, those 3 turnovers in the first half hurt him. But to his credit, he got them back in the game. But I think I would be a fool if I did not say that what caught our attention in this game was a 17-year-old freshman named Ryan Williams. 6 catches, 170 times. I mean, I know we had talked about him. And there's another guy at Ohio State, and you don't like to mention, but you've
Jeremiah Smith,
yeah. But this guy literally should be in high school right now, and on the brightest lights in the biggest stage, has one of the games of his life, man. What are your thoughts about this guy?
What a freaking performance. This guy did it all, the deep routes, those shorter routes, that touchdown that won them the game, where it goes off his hand, flies like 10, 15 feet in the air, and he tracks it down and catches it while there's 2 DBs on him. Just very few people are going to have a performance like that ever. And he did it at 17 years old in Tuscaloosa, national television versus Georgia. Insane. And that's that mental toughness again. To be 17 years old, going against some guys that are 21, 22, hell, even some are 23. And you're in there and you realize that you are that dude. You can hang your own against these guys. What a performance by Ryan Williams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's on everybody's radar. And, hey, we're happy to see it. Both these teams have tough schedules down the line. So this game, I mean, look, if we get this performance from each of these two teams the rest of the way, it's going to be hard to see anybody beating them. So we'll definitely see what happens down the way.
College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Luceman.